Yeah, good evening. The school bells still haven't rang at all of our public schools quite yet, so it's still too early to know just how many students will be returning to public school classrooms. However, I spoke to one family who made that switch back, and it's a decision that local leaders tell me they hope others make as well.
All right, so those are some great numbers.
We first met Katie Austin as a 7th grader and star student at Mountain View Academy. If you've never heard of it, well, that's because it was her homeschool, started in 2020.
In a way, the pandemic was a blessing for our family because it did allow me to work from home so that we could do this.
And while when we spoke with her last year, she planned on sticking with homeschooling
Forever.
Fast forward to this year, and the now 8th grader is excelling at Holly Grove Middle School.
I like it because I've made a bunch of new friends.
We enjoyed our homeschool experience. We really did. There were a lot of benefits to it, a lot of perks. There were some struggles here and there. It was tricky for her to always be in charge of her own learning, and because I work a full-time job, I couldn't always be there to answer her questions.
Katie is one of the thousands of students across the state transitioning out of homeschooling. 19,000 fewer students were enrolled in homeschooling last year than in 2020. But this drop isn't translating into a jump in public school students. The latest state data showing around 2,600 more students attending public school last year. But that's still 50,000 fewer than before the pandemic.
You know, with so many options, it makes enrollment less predictable, which I think makes it more difficult to plan, more difficult for the school system to be able to finalize plans until well into the school year.
Kushner says, like other districts, Wake County has actively worked to recruit more students and enroll specifically kindergartners. At the same time, the number of charter schools continues to grow. Enrollment shooting up by 20% last year since the 2018 and 2019 school year. 600 more kids jumped to charter schools just in Wake County between 2020 and 2021. It's a trend that impacts public schools and has public education advocates like Kushner concerned.
The difficulty in planning, I think, is also a problem with using public resources and tax dollars efficiently. So that's one of my increasing concerns, is that the charter school movement, with its expansion and closures and unpredictability, is straining already strained public resources, and that should be a concern for every taxpayer in North Carolina.
Now, enrollment numbers also impact funding for public school districts. Over the past few years, the state hasn't taken the number of students into account. But this year it will start to again, which may lead to cuts. And she tells me public schools are going to have to face that uncertainty with optimism. And again, it's still too early for us to get the latest enrollment numbers for this school year. Once those do come out in the coming weeks, we'll get a better idea of just how many students are returning to public schools and what could be at stake for our district. For the I-Team, Samantha Coomer, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.